I see him in the waiting room, man. You want to introduce our guest today?
Oh man, this dude's a legend. I remember when I first saw pieces of his; they were massive. They would do these paste ups, and he had this character looked like a race car driver, and it said "All the girls love Earl." That was the first image I remember seeing of his, and it was huge on the side of a building, and he was at least 12 feet in diameter. This thing was, and man, whenever that dude would go, he would just go big, and just have a big tub of wheat paste with him and just blitz the town. And he's been doing this as long as
I've been noticing street art for sure, man. Here's a little one of the big ass pieces like I've seen on the street, man. Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, like for those of you who are watching, that's probably about a 10-foot high by 6-foot wide piece, and it's probably like a couple of pieces that he pastes up and matches them up and everything. But yeah, I love seeing the image. It just makes me happy. You know what I mean? It's like you see this good looking guy and it's like, all the girls love Earl, man. Like, who's Earl?
I'll let him in then, man. All right.
Yeah, man.
Put on your red shoes and dance the blues.
There he is. That is the man right there. Dude, thank you so much for joining us.
It's nice to finally meet you, Earl.
What would you like for us to address you as? You have several names.
Well, everybody wants to call me Earl, but I always say I'm not cool enough to be Earl. I'm just Bubba the Janitor at Earl Lube Industries.
Well, I beg to differ, my friend. I've seen your work around for a long time, and I've met you and hung out with you a couple of times. And I just, you're like a sentinel of the street,
a legend in my book, man.
Been there and actually developed your own paste, the Earl Lube Paste, which is my favorite. It blows my mind how you made it smell like spearmint. I still don't understand how that works, because any of the paste that I ever use, the wheat paste, oh my God, if you don't get rid of that stuff in time, whew, man, it stinks to the high heavens.
Yeah, it goes rancid in a heartbeat. Now that's the backstory to the whole deal.
I mean, are you a chemist? I mean, mixing these chemicals, I mean, that does make you a chemist, but I mean, would you consider yourself a chemist? I'm a chemist, by the way, so I'm curious,
No, you know what's funny is, so I have an engineering background, motorsports mainly, and then I'm obviously an artist. I've been an artist since I was a kid. That all happened by accident, and I like to say that the chemical industry eats their young. It's probably been the hardest thing I've ever done. And I've been to the Indianapolis 500 as a participant numerous times, and but yeah, the whole chemical deal has been pretty difficult. But
I'm just so curious about the paste, because being actually like a chemist myself, you know what I mean. I'm working with acrylic too. That's kind of like one of my main business sectors, actually. So I'm just curious. I mean, normally the wheat paste stinks, but I keep on hearing yours smells like, Listerine. You know what I mean? So like, how did that come about? Like, when was that already kind of like you were developing your own stuff early on, or what was like your first recipe, I guess?
Well, when I got into that game, I say it's a curse and a blessing to have an engineering and an artistic mind in the same head. So, I'm very curious. So when I got into that game, and I'm a real neat freaker. I like good stuff, and I like the best. Like, if you look behind me, there's a red toolboxes full of
I see it very, very clean and tidy.
I bet it's all nice and organized, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. It's anal. So
nice.
When
indie quality, basically. You know what I mean? I could tell. Anyways, please continue. Yes.
So everybody made wheat paste with golden dry wallpaper paste, which is crap, and from the hardware store. And then typically from there, everybody had their secret ingredient, and everybody's secret ingredient was based on, well, Johnny told me to use this, or my buddy Billy told me to use this, or whatever.
It's like a drug recipe.
So when I got into that game, I started asking everybody, well, what are you using? And why are you using that? Well, Johnny told me to use that. Okay. So it really, there was all kinds of weird stuff. The most common would be, golden dry wheat paste and wood glue. Okay.
Yeah.
So I tried that. But you know what? That stuff doesn't work. It just didn't work. And it would always go rancid.
Yeah.
So, and that was very aggravating. Oh, it smells horrible. So everybody knows that Shep has his formula that is he uses golden acrylic in it. It's really expensive. So I started playing around with that, and the same thing, it still goes rancid. So I'm like, there's got to be something better. So I just started playing around, and then I found some European cellulose, and so I'm using all off-the-shelf items, right? And it gets more and more expensive the better and better it gets. And then it would still go rancid. I was done with it. It aggravated me so much, and it got so expensive. And then it went rancid one more time, and it really just pissed me off is what happened. And that spurred me on. I'm like, I know there's a solution to the rancid part here. So what I did was I just took everybody's recipe, and over that time I bought all that stuff, and I took like this armload of stuff, and I went and I found a chemist, a paint paste chemist, and I put all this stuff on his desk, and I said, hey, here's what I'm doing. I didn't say I'm a graffiti artist, but I said, we're pasting up paper outside. I want it to be, waterproof if possible, and, yada, yada, yada. And he's like, none of that'll work. He says, this is what you need, da, 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 da. So now that we use 11 ingredients to make it, I buy all the raw materials. I buy, back to the engineering deal, I buy the best possible materials I can buy. And 11 ingredients later, I'm on probably, I don't know, the third iteration of it. And I'm getting ready to make another jump up in it.
Amazing. So, I want to talk to this chemist, man. Definitely.
So Earl Lube is, it's water-based. I don't recommend drinking it. Don't,
I've tasted it.
Yeah, but it's not,
I couldn't help it, dude. I had to taste it because it smelled so good. I was like.
Well, the mint deal is, again, as part of the humor. It was like, I can't remember his first name, but he's the artist Ewing. He's a well-known artist. But he used to say his art was minty fresh, and I just kind of like that. So, you know what? Actually, I should say this part of the story. So, Earl Lube, I'm sure Teacher knows this part, but so after I started putting up Earl, and the story of Earl is like, he's this vintage race car guy, obviously, but he's supposed to be like a millionaire when $1 million was a lot of money. He's a sportsman. Like a Thurston Howell on Gilligan's Island.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be kind of that character. So I started in order to justify his income, I created this Earl Lube company, and I appropriated an old vintage Pennzoil oil can and started running this faux advertising campaign on the street. So it was Earl Lube. And, all the girls love Earl Lube. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. So, just a quart a day and all the girls would love you too. And I never put up anything with anybody else. But when you do that, what happens is other people come with, they call side by you, which is all cool. But what would happen is their stuff would fall down in a week or so, and my stuff would keep writing. So everybody started taking notice of that, and they're like, well, what are you using for paste? And I'm like, well, I'm making my own. And so the other artists are the one that started calling it Earl Lube because of the faux advertising campaign I was running. So again, that just happened by accident. I never would have called it Earl Lube.
That's such a good
Today,
story.
you know, I have it in art stores today, and it's kind of like, it's an odd name, but it's cool. You know, it's,
No,
I don't know, it's weird, but it's cool.
It's
I
weird.
love
No,
it, man.
that's totally such a good story because I'm curious too how, because I started seeing it appear online and I was like, whoa, this is an actual thing. And you know, I love that you're still just a continuous fan of it.
It's really about artists helping artists. I mean, you know, someday I hope to have it in every art store in the world, but it's not there. And
What
Well, we might be able to help with that.
yeah.
which just curious, which ones which art stores carry it right now? That they people, because there are probably some, you know, new pasters listening that want to get their hands on the best stuff, you know.
I
Yeah,
can
no
attest to
matter
that.
where
This is
they
the
are, they can mail order it. So there's an art store called Art Supply Warehouse, and it's in Westminster, California, which is here. It's on the border of Orange County and Long Beach. They started with a small graffiti section in the back corner of their store, and now it takes up this whole one side of their store. They probably have the biggest graffiti store that I know of anyway.
That's what I've heard too.
He has the biggest independent art store in the country, or at least this side of the Mississippi. Recently got into graph aid, and they're open for business, and they do mail order also. And then because of the COVID-19 thing, I've opened up my website, you know, during this thing, and you can order direct from me.
You know, I never heard of Art Supply Warehouse, and I just pulled up. It's so awesome. This store is like huge, and then there's
you gotta go
yeah.
check it out.
there's
you
the
gotta go check it out.
Earl Lube right inside the huge
Yes.
graffiti section.
So you
man.
can see that whole wall there is nothing but cans, and then, you know, then they have another wall, nothing but markers. I mean, that store is unbelievable.
Yeah, check this out. This is
You gotta
is
go
like
check it out for yourself.
Whoa! Holy cow!
holy crap.
Jeez!
You know what I mean? So this is the spot you want to go, man. Free plug for
Like a
Art
candy
Supply Warehouse, man.
store.
Seriously,
Yeah,
this
I
is
mean,
like-
It's a candy
you know,
store for graffiti
I
artists.
think
Yeah.
just like the story itself of just how the Earl Lube came about, it's so organic. Like you said, it's like a song. It's just like, all right, it continued. And because there was no, I don't think you had the idea you wanted to have your own line of wheat
I
paint.
don't think you could plan this train wreck.
Yeah, that's definitely not. You know what I mean? So
I wouldn't call it a train wreck, my friend. I would
No,
never
no,
call it a train wreck
no.
at all.
But there's so many times I wanted to quit it. It's like, what are you doing this for? I mean, there's a million things I could be doing, really, but like I said, that, you know, my mantra of just artists helping artists, it keeps me going. I've met so many cool people. It's really kind of going towards the fine artist.
Mhm.
Right.
And I have a, you know, I have a piece I made, the common bond between street artists and fine artists is really what it's becoming. So the best example, I mean, there's a lot, but the best example that jumps to mind is a guy named Snip out of Las Vegas.
Yes,
And,
absolutely.
and, you know, that guy, he's killing it, big murals. He's been
Yeah.
busier during the COVID deal than ever.
I
But
know.
at the same time, he does fine art. He does some really amazing collages and stuff. And so Earl, you know, he uses Earl Lube on both sides of the thing. I made the street art space, but right out of the box, people started saying, well, you know, you can use that as a clear gesso. I'm using it as a clear gesso on wood, and I do acrylic work over the top of it, and then I let the wood show through.
Oh, there you go.
They started doing stuff with it that I didn't even know, you know, art forms that didn't even exist. There's a lady that was buying it because she apparently does apparel photography, and she uses it like a starch. So she soaks it in Earl Lube. Who would ever think of that? So,
Wow.
So then along the line, a guy that works in there, Dean, he's the first guy that started mixing paint with it. I'd never thought of it. So it's a clear acrylic. So you can mix any acrylic, you know, paint.
Like a medium.
Yeah, it's a medium, really. It is. And but I never thought of it that way. It's a paste to me. It's for computer. So there's a art form, and it kind of runs the line of crafter and artist. So it's called acrylic pouring. So what they do is they make these mediums. Basically, they have an open time extender in them, and you mix paint with it, and then you mix some silicone oil in it, and you get cells. So Dean was the first guy. He started taking Earl Lube Paste and mixing paint with it. Totally something I would have never thought of. and he started using it for this acrylic pouring medium. Well, the next thing you know, he and I, yeah, there you go.
That's awesome.
So, and I mean, there's just the sky's the limit on what you can do with that.
Wow.
So out of that, we got together and played chemist, and we made a version of this pouring medium that I feel is one of the best there is. And you know, at the time, it was the only matte finish one because we wanted it to be more artist friendly.
Yes.
And then from there, you know, Greg Crayola picked it up. He's using it as a wash over like this, you know, pitch and painting like he does at the very end. He's using this product as a wash to go over his painting. I'm like, oh my God.
That's amazing.
Nothing goes wrong. But
oh,
you know,
that's very trusting.
and he did a little video on it, and he's, you know, so it's, I could have never ever thought of any of that.
Wow.
It just happened.
You know, I would definitely consider Bubba, you're an OG in this game now, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yep.
Because at least in my eyes, like ever since I've started noticing the Easter eggs in life, man, street art, you know, you've been there, man. So, you know,
stalwart.
I love that,
that's
man.
Awesome, man.
You know, that's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, that there's a small little, I mean, it's actually pretty big because it's a global industry, the street art world. You know what I mean? And there, you know, if your product's the best, man, we love to just help you distribute it, man. You know, and you know, like I said,
I look forward to having you on again.
Definitely.
Bro, thanks for
I
joining
always
us,
say,
man.
if I could have bought paste, good paste, I would have never done this. You know, my store, I didn't set out to do this. I would buy it today. But
always said,
there was
necessity
nothing.
The mother of invention, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Awesome. So, Bubba, we'll have to invite you on again, man, because we have another episode coming up with RX Skulls, man. So thank you so much for coming on, and I can't wait to meet you in person and talk some more business and hang out with you a little too, learn a little bit more about the racing industry. All right? Thank you guys so much, and to the audience, love you guys. Take care and peace.
Peace.
See you later.
Later. Thank you, Bubba.
This video is approved by Bubba the Janitor at Earl Lube Industries.